Hey guys, Bowie here, and today we'll talk about 5 efficiency tips to improve your mid play. The first one is regarding bottle, shrine, and anything that has a static number in terms of region. Using backpack during those times greatly increases your effective mana and HP, which makes you harder to kill and facilitates your aggression, also increasing your kill potential. Remember that instead of backpacking them, waiting for the region to stop and then bring them back to your backpack, you can just do it all at once. The cooldown is around 5 to 6 seconds, which is exactly what you need to use stuff like shrine, use your charge bottles, and even a salve. In the case of wand and mangoes, if you don't have a lot of items, you can just drop them and use the items since the regen is instant. Another thing to remember when you're backpacking your items is that using skills before the item gets back greatly reduces that efficiency, so be aware of using spells in that state, since it will pretty much set you back on square one. The second thing we're talking about is efficient harass. Understanding trades is something that takes a long time and it's not something that can be explained with one topic in one video. To this day, it's actually common for me to go for dumb trades just because of how complex and ever-changing Dota is. That being said, there are a couple of simple examples we can touch upon regarding good trading. For instance, when you push your wave, the enemy is going to be preoccupied in getting less hits, which a lot of the times gives you two options. You can try to deny those creeps or you can try to harass the enemy. In a game like this, where mid one is playing Dazzle versus Kunkka, you cannot expect him to be able to deny versus a Kunkka because he has way too much base damage. In games where you have less base damage or worse attack animation, you can harass your enemy. A good tip on how to do it is aggro. You see, if you attack an enemy, even if the tower has range to attack you, it will never be able to attack you as long as you follow two rules. 1. You're attacking from further away than any creep is close to the tower. And 2. You respect the tower changing aggro. The first one is easy to understand. The second one means that after a creep dies, you have to wait for the aggro to start attacking the next creep, and if you do that, you'll be able to keep on attacking indefinitely until no creeps are left. With the right hero, you can shove the lane, and even if the enemy has decent base damage to last hit under tower, you're going to get ahead as long as you're aware of enemy rotations and you keep on dealing damage. The next one is very important when you're playing heroes like Lina, Kunkka, Shadow Fiend, Puck, heroes that go bottle and are mobile enough and have decent wave clear. Utilizing the wave clear at the right moments can be a game changer. No hero early on has the potential to shove lanes at all times, so sometimes you have to choose when it's the right time to push the lane. Doing it around 1 minute and 50 and 3 minutes and 50 can guarantee that you use no mana for it because you're going to be securing a rune that eventually will give you that mana back. Let's not forget about the kill potential and all the other stuff that you can do with it. Another time that became popular in this meta is 4 minutes and 50, since after the 4 minute rune, we have the 5 minute bounties. Playing around those timings is key for you to not only dominate in CS, but have kill potential at the same time, since if you just waste your mana for no reason, then your ally rotations are weaker if you have no follow-up. The fourth one is important if you're that type of guy that never buys another set of tangos or never buys a salve. You just try to get that bottle if you're mid no matter what. People in Dota are greedy, and being greedy can pay off a lot of times, but there's a difference between ignorance and greediness. One thing is to go straight up bottle knowing that you're still getting CS and harassing the enemy mid and just doing fine. Another completely different thing is rushing bottle even though you cannot get even close to the creeps just because you don't want to buy a salve. For instance, in this PA versus Invoker game, Miracle is completely dominating the lane. Still, because of aggression, he's never going back to base, but instead buy 4 salves in a relatively short span of time. This hero in particular doesn't really care about bottle that much, which means that doing this is key so that you don't lose the lane. Getting a kill, but marching all the way back to the fountain is not a win. The respawn timer early on is shorter than you having to walk back to the base, which means that if you don't buy a salve and make use of the space of that kill, you're the one that will fall behind since you're missing on a lot of valuable experience and gold. Early on into the game, the experience and gold you're getting in comparison to how much you have is the biggest, meaning that losing one wave of creeps at 10 minutes is insanely less important than one at 2 minutes. Sometimes one creep worth of experience can decide between a lane being won or lost, so be very aware of it and don't be cheap. 5. Stats are important. A lot of people play Dota for years, and for many years, the only item that pretty much all the mid heroes rushed was bottom, especially when 2 runes were spawning at the same time. But that's not true anymore. There's also an insanely bigger emphasis on roaming, especially at nighttime. Let's say you get engaged like Miracle here. Bottle is completely useless, right? You can try to bottle it, but you're not likely to regen more than 40 HP, which means that those 650 gold spent mean nothing, and 650 gold at this stage of the game is a lot, because it's like, what, 25% of your entire net worth. That's not to say that bottle is bad, but that being survival and having right-click damage to get CS, it's also insanely important. Pretty much every single intelligence mid hero gets double new talismans so they can spend their skills more. They're going to get more CS, more denies, they're going to survive ganks, and thus they'll have a level advantage, and this is what allows them to snowball later on to the game. That's not a rule, but try to think about the value of your items. If you're playing against a Tiny that will not spam a lot of spells, Magic Wand is probably not a great idea. It gives stats, but not that much for the price. If you're playing against a PA though, a Puck or a Bloodseeker, there's a lot of value, and that 400 gold item not only gives you a lot of stats, but a burst of 300 HP and mana. Very few things are absolute in Dota, so make